Hello. Welcome to this new video. This time we're going to cover more of Nmap. And as you know, Nmap is one of those tools that you need if you are a network security engineer, ethical hacker, network administrator, period. Nmap is your friend if you want to know more about your network. Now, there are many different angles at which you can learn Nmap, and one of them is if you want to pass a security exam like CEH or any of Security Plus or any other of the many security exams. When you sit down for an exam, you're going to learn or you have to memorize a lot of the syntax that you need to run Nmap. Now, I have to be honest with you. Some of these syntax examples that are here are useless in today's network. And they don't tell you that when you're taking those exams. For instance, like they may want you to be let me come right here. They may want you to be stealthy, right? And you have the idea that if you run Nmap using the stealth syntax, the switches that you're going to be invisible, and that could not be further from the truth. Or if you use decoys or if you use spoof IP addresses, that you're going to be hiding your identity. And that's not the case because in today's networks, network monitoring tools, or even IDS or IPS, they're going to be able to detect the traffic and the signatures and they're going to raise an alert. Now, let's talk about what is real, and then we're going to be talking about what is not real anymore. So, in this case, let me show you what I have. I am running Made Exploitable right here on this VM on this computer, and the IP address is 192.168.170.16, and that's the one that I'm going to be scanning. So I'm gonna be using Nmap from my Windows computer. Hey, I have a Windows computer right here, and I'm gonna be using that. And I'm gonna be using Wireshark so you can see what's happening in the background when we use Nmap. So the first thing that I'm gonna do, let me bring this right here. I'm gonna do a pin sweep scan. Now, this command is real, and when you use pin sweep, you are not trying to hide anything because ping sweep is gonna send a lot of noise in the network. And you don't run ping sweep against one individual host. You run ping sweep against a segment or a range. In this case, we're gonna run a ping sweep against an entire segment, but you could do a range of IPs. You don't have to scan them all. So let me come right here to my computer and I'm gonna clear this. Actually, it's not clear. I believe it's CLS in Windows, right? And I'm gonna do Nmap, right? And we're gonna go through the command -s n, and I'm gonna do 192.168.170.0/64, which happens to be the segment that I want to scan. So before I do that, I'm gonna start Wireshark, and you are gonna see what's happening in the background, right? So I'm gonna continue without saving, and I'm gonna do this. So this is supposedly scanning or sending packets to every single host in this segment. So I'm gonna pause this. There's no reason to, or stop it, I should say. There's no reason to let this run until the end. And let's come through here. So let's evaluate the capture that we have. As you can see, you're gonna see a lot of ARP requests who has 192.168.71.23, and you get the point. So when you're using Nmap to do a sweep scan, know for a fact that whatever network monitoring tool is in place in the organization is going to raise an alarm. So just know that. So you don't do that if you want to be invisible or if you want to be quiet, they're going to know that something is happening. So now you see what's happening in the background. Now you could do also Nmap to perform a full port scan. Now, why would you do that? There are many reasons why somebody would like to perform a full port scan. And by full port scans, I'm specifically referring that, or meaning that you are going to scan all 65,000 ports and change whatever that is. Now, it may be that you have a legitimate reason to do that, right? And when you do that, you're going to justify why you're doing that. But unless you have a legitimate reason, if you just want to find what ports are available, there are more, better ways to do that than scanning everything under the earth. So what happens when you run this? And again, I'm not saying an Nmap is not saying that this is a stealthy scan. I just want to show you what's going to happen in Wireshark when that happens. And the reason why I am showing you Wireshark, even though Wireshark is not a network monitoring tool, is going to give you the idea of what a network monitoring tool would see. And then they have rules to detect and raise an alarm. So I'm going to go continue without savings, and I'm going to come here and look what's going to happen. So Nmap is going to go through every single port out of the 65,000 and look at all the noise that is happening in the background. So I'm just going to stop this right here, and I'm going to stop the scan and stop the Wireshark. This is stuck right here. Okay, it was at 91%. Okay, so let me do a filter IP address. I'm gonna use a filter that I used before. And as you can see, you can see all the sync scans that it was sending. And this is where I would like you to pay attention to. In this case, we're gonna look at the destination port. It is at 34,149. And then if we go through the other package, you're going to see how the ports are changing in value because Nmap it was scanning all of each of the 65,000. So have I ever used that? Like scan all ports? Yes, I have, but I've had unique reasons why I wanted to do that that justified me creating a lot of noise. Now, if you're gonna do that for a regular scam, you are setting yourself for failure, especially if you're scanning more than one host, because that's gonna take forever. So let's go back to the next command in here. And this is the one that I see one of the most useful aspects of Nmap, and that is service and version detection, right? And you're going to be using SV. So this is where Nmap is shining now, right? So let's go back to our syntax. And in this case, we're going to change that to minus S V for service detection. And this is gonna, number one, is gonna find the common open ports that is going to detect. And number two, it is going to identify the services and the version of the services running on those specific ports. And as you can see, this is the result. We're using FTP, and it's going to show you the version of FTP that it's using. We're using DNS, and it's going to show you that we're using bind. And this is where Nmap is going to become super useful for you as a pen tester, as a security professional, because you're going to be able to identify the services running on those specific ports. But just identifying that is not it's nothing by itself. You have to know what to do with that information, and then you have to do further research and find potential vulnerabilities affecting the services running on those ports. So that is super useful. So let's go to the next one, slow stealth scan. Now, the closest thing that you're gonna find to being stealthy is being slow stealth scan, which is using a minus T1. It does not mean that you are gonna be invisible. It just means that Nmap is going to send the probes further apart, and hopefully the network security devices are not going to be able to detect your scan or detect the scans. And this is where you have to pay attention. It's going to go from T1 to T5. T5 is the loudest one, I believe, or T5 or T4. um, but again, this is what you could use with hopes of not being detected. But I'm going to say that one more time: in a real corporate environment with proper security tools, there is a high probability that even slow, stealthy scans are going to be identified because they know the signatures and they can put that together after a couple of packets, right? So let me come right here. Now, and it took a couple of seconds for the first packet to be captured by Wireshark, but as you could see, that's why it is slow and the chances of detections are lower, but it is not guaranteed. So I'm just gonna stop this in here, stop capturing. Look, the scan is still running, and look at the you don't I only have 3 packets, right? Which is crazy. So it is slow. What else do we have here? Web enumerations. Obviously, this is super useful, right? In here, you're going to be using one of the many Nmap scripts, and I have created a video for Nmap scripts. And the script that we're going to be using is Volm to actually, we're going to be using HTTP enum for enumeration. So if I come here, let me see if I can stop this, and I'm going to go. And obviously you can combine different type of scans. I'm gonna use uh, to script, and then you have to name the script. Just what you're doing here in the syntax when you use this, you are telling Nmap that you want to use a script, and then this is the name of the script that you would like to use. There are many different scripts that you can use. And then we hit enter, and the script is going to do what the script does. It's going to detect and enumerate the web services running in there, right? What else do we have here? We have vulnerabilities. So okay, this is same thing. We're going to go with script, and the script is going to be vuln. So let me come here, and Nmap is gonna do its magic. It's gonna scan the target, and it's gonna determine if it's aware of any vulnerabilities, and it will, because I am scanning meta exploitable. And the last thing that I want to mention here while this is happening, and I don't think that I will run a command for this, is just that you can output the results of Nmap into different formats, and this is super useful, right? The minus O means that you want to create an output, and minus O, this is lowercase o, capital A, is a type of format that you want, and this is just the file name that you want for the output. So that is a real world examples of Nmap, right? Now, I have here Nmap reality, right? Going back to what I was mentioning before, when you run a stealthier sync scan, you are not really stealthy. You like the system, if you're running this in a corporate environment with real network monitoring solutions, you are gonna be detected, right? So just keep that in mind. Like perhaps this is good for an exam. They want you to run a stealthy scan, and you're going to have the idea that you're going to be incognito. That's not the case. For the exam, just answer what the exam wants you to answer. But in the real world, just know what you're doing. You're not going to be stealthy. IDS is a flawed and half open sync packet classing scan signatures. It's going to get detected. Then we have fragmented packets, right? Split pro packets into fragments to bypass simple filters. And this is the keyword: simple filters. Um, Commercial solutions, even when you have the basic subscription of a commercial solution, they are so advanced that even simple things are going to be detected or advanced things could be detected, right? Firewalls and IDS resemble fragmented packet before infections. It is obsolete and rarely effective one of these days. Now, this may be popular in movies. I forgot there was a TV show, I believe in Netflix, of this guy who was a super hacker and he used to do things like that. And we all admire that and we aspire to be something like that. But in reality, all those things are scripted. Things don't work as easy as they show them, right? And it takes a lot of time. Even decoys, you could use that, make the scan look like it's coming from many IP addresses and hides the real IP address. But an IDS is going to correlate the scan traffic from multiple sources and it's going to raise an alert. So just keep that in mind. Spoof the source IP address hides an attacker IP address by faking into another. The responses go to the spoofed host, not the attacker. IDX flags the spoofed packets. Useless unless the attacker controls the routing. And most likely in a network environment, that's not going to be the case. Now, I know there are exceptions. I know that even large corporations may have security gaps in their configurations, and the reason for that is because they are so large that they may be some old configuration settings in a remote building somewhere that they're not even aware of. That happens a lot. I remember when I used to work at this healthcare provider many years ago, we had a large network spanning over multiple buildings. And we had some proxies, internet proxies set up that somebody before us set up for whatever reason. We don't even know why, and we didn't know about it. So it is possible, but it is likely that you're going to defeat advanced technical solutions with archaic type of commands and syntax. What else do we have in here? Source port. Oh, this is pretty good actually. Pretend to scan traffic from untrusted ports. IDHS the patterns, not just the port numbers, may bypass weak firewalls, but the IDS still alerts. So this is a pretty cool command because what you can do, you can send the packets from a source port. So let me come right here. And what we're gonna use is source port, and we're gonna define the port. Let's say 1099. Oh, okay, 10,099, right? So let me run this. Let me erase this, cancel, continue. Okay, stop, and let me check the filter one more time. And what we can see here, where is my source port? Look at the source port right here. The source port from the source IP address, 192.168.170.15, that's my IP. And this is my source port right in here. So what you could do is scan, because when Nmap runs the scans, it automatically selects an available port to run it on to send the probes on. In this case, you are specifying the port that you would like to use. Now, in the past, if you had a misconfigured firewall rule, this was a potential way of bypassing that firewall rule. It is very unlikely that you're going to succeed in that with new equipment now, with new firewalls. Just for you to know. As I mentioned before, the one that may give you some luck is the slowing the probes, right? And using a minus T1. Maybe you're gonna be able to do that. Depending on how many packets you have and how um, you set or the administrator sets the alerts on the SIM or the network monitoring tool, you may or may not be detected, but this is your best chance to bypass some detection right here. Then we have UDP scans UDP services without TCP handshake. IDS is abnormal UDP request, especially close to ports, is going to get detected. Anything that is going to make noise is going to be detected. And then you can run the scripts. And again, so think about it. With Nmap, you are not really trying to be invisible. That is good for the exam. Let's put that aside. For the exam, yes, know this, gonna work, know the stealth, know all that. When it comes to the real world, you have to you have to think about what is your function and what you're trying to do. If you are a hacker, like a hacker, I don't know what you're doing watching my video, right? I mean, like if you know if you're a hacker, you know more than all of us together. If you are somebody who works in security, you have to know this because you do have to test your networks, your configurations, and your settings. And this is where you're going to be using that. And when you do that, you are not expected to be invisible. Now, when you are part of a larger organization that you have different security teams, you have the blue team, you have the red team, you have the purple team, and you have them doing exercises against each other, this may be useful them. And then you know what you're doing. So know what you're doing, know what your target is, and know the real implications of what you're doing when you're using the tools. And when you approach that with that mentality, you're going to be fine and you're going to have a good protected network. So I'm going to stop here. If you found this video useful, all I ask you to do is to click on the like button, consider subscribing to the channel, and if you know of anyone who can benefit from this video, please feel free to share this video with somebody else. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you on the next video.